Hello and welcome to Arsenal Analysed. I'm JC. I hope you're doing well. Today I bring you yet another Arsenal scout report, a player that Arsenal have been heavily linked with prior to the end of the season, one that makes a lot of sense given what's happened in the last few months. Aaron Hickey, formerly of Celtic, a young Scottish prospect. And I'll be bringing you absolutely everything that you need to know in this breakdown, including heat map, statistics, and player comparisons. So if you do go on to enjoy today's video, a like would be super appreciated. And if you're new around here, why not consider subscribing, as it massively helps me out. But what will we be covering during this video? So first things first, we'll cover some of the basics around the player himself before looking at his movement over the last two seasons, using heat maps and player comparisons. Then we'll break down some numbers from this season and how that compares to other left backs in the Premier League. And then finally, to finish up, his strengths and his weaknesses and how he compares across Serie A fullbacks. So plenty of information to digest, but let's waste no more time at all and dive into those basics. Aaron Hickey, a very young Scottish international at just 19 years of age, moved to Bologna in Serie A just a couple of years ago. This will be his second full season at the club, and he can play on the left and the right hand side, predominantly on the left, but being both footed, he is just as comfortable on the right hand side. And this is one of the reasons why I think Arsenal are interested, because not only can he provide cover for Kieran Tierney, who unfortunately does have long spells out during the season, but we've seen Tomiyasu spend some time on the bench, unfortunately, due to injury. So we can also provide a higher quality of cover compared to your Cedric, say, for example. Sitting at 6 foot with his contract only running until June 2024. So he'll be coming into the last 2 years of his contract come this summer. And he's available for somewhere in the region, if rumours are to be believed, of 18 to 22 million pounds. A club that we have had transfer dealing with only in just the summer gone with Tomiyasu. So maybe another gem there unearthed. A player that we were, funnily enough, linked with prior to his move to Bologna. But how does he compare to, say, Kieran Tierney, who is already at Arsenal Football Club, and another top tier left back in Andrew Robertson for Liverpool? So as we can see here in his first and current season at Bologna, predominantly down that left-hand side, he does like to get forward, and we'll crunch some numbers in terms of his attacking statistics in a later part of this video. But in his current season, you can also see there that there is some yellow and red on that right-hand side where he has had to cover for other players in the squad. But when we look at the season prior to that, completely and utterly down that left-hand side, never really utilised down that right. But how does that compare to, say, a Kieran Tierney or an Andrew Robertson? Both very attacking fullbacks. And we know that Arsenal, for example, sometimes play in a system where Kieran Tierney is overutilised down that left-hand side, or maybe Andrew Robertson, who is effectively at times a left winger. We can see that there is a lot more deep red for Kieran Tierney and Andrew Robertson, who have both played less games than Hickey this year. So it is something that he would potentially have to work on at the age of 19 in terms of his potential and his ceiling. Plenty of room there for him to grow. But I think that he would certainly have to adapt his game. We know that Kieran Tierney and Andrew Robertson, when in their own half, they do like to come inside to receive that ball. And then when in that final third as well, they are a lot more higher up the pitch. There's a lot more activity and deep red in this and last season for both Tierney and Robertson, in and around that 18-yard box. And we can't quite see that there for Hickey, but something to certainly work on. And the fundamentals and the basics definitely look like they're there. And at the age of 19, as I've already said, plenty of room to grow and opportunity to learn. Now, quite a few different statistics on screen at the moment. And as already mentioned, one big positive for me is that Aaron Hickey has played 33 times this season, more than both Kieran Tierney and Andrew Robertson. He shows fantastic consistency, not afraid to get into the final third and provide crosses. Although that is a weaker part of his game, he does prefer to play the ball along the floor, providing 5 assists and 1 goal. I've got those mixed up. Kieran Tierney and Andrew Robertson, some good numbers there. We all know too well what Andrew Robertson can do when it comes to whipping that ball into the box. And if Aaron Hickey can provide even just half that, one hell of a player. Good passing, crossing at the lower end compared to the other two on screen. His dribble completion at 62% for a fullback is absolutely phenomenal. Definitely one of his strengths. Loves to run at a player. Absolutely no fear. Brilliant stuff. Ball recoveries in the top echelon for me. Not too far off of what Andrew Robertson provides. Tackles as well. Way above Kieran Tierney and Andrew Robertson. So not afraid to chuck himself into a tackle. Not afraid to throw himself about if needs be. Interceptions and clearances, pretty good as well. Aerial duels, I would say somewhat similar to the other two on screen, but it's his ground duels, and it does coincide with his tackles in that 60 percentile, which is absolutely fantastic. Really, 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 really good stuff. And discipline isn't too bad either. Only the 6 yellow cards, no red. And when we compare that to Kieran Tierney and Andrew Robertson, yes, I know he's playing in a different league, different physicality, different pace, but there are some good numbers there, some things that Arteta that could potentially work with. And when you look at that, the 3 Scotsmen, I think he'd fit in, not only at Arsenal, but generally speaking, I think he would be very, very well suited to the Premier League in general. So let's have a look at his strengths and his weaknesses. I've tried to do as much reading on Aaron Hickey as possible. The Serie A isn't necessarily a league that I watch too often, so I have seen some clips, I've read some articles to try and provide you with the information necessary. So we've already touched upon some of this stuff here. Ground duels, absolutely spot on. He can play multiple positions and he shows great consistency. He does like those short, sharp, brief passes, which would suit someone like Arsenal or even a Liverpool and Manchester City, for example. Very, very good. His attacking threat is absolutely fantastic. We've already touched upon that he does like to get into that final third. He has provided 5 assists and a goal in Serie A this year as 19 years old and a fullback. Those are some really, really, really good numbers. Dribbling also absolutely fantastic for a fullback. Those are the sorts of numbers that you would associate with a winger, for example. One thing that I did read up on, his crossing isn't the best. That isn't necessarily a terrible thing. If you've got a Kieran Tierney and a Hickey, different types of fullbacks, that's absolutely fine. It's certainly something that can be worked on at the age of 19. He was around 10% success rate in his crosses compared to Kieran Tierney as well as Robertson in that 20 percentile. And at 19 years old, a fearless young kid who wants to make a good impression, especially making his mark on Serie A and in this Bologna team. He can sometimes maybe commit one too many fouls, which again, you would think over time as he refines his game, a raw talent, that would something be that he gets slowly better and better at. Now, on this left-hand side, you can see here a diagram which compares him as a fullback to all the other fullbacks in Serie A. That's on the left and the right-hand side, how he gets on in the league. So if we have a look at his passing efficiency here, up in the 50 percentile, which is very, very good. What I mentioned earlier on, fitting into an Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, that would be absolutely fantastic. Deep crosses and crosses, 7 percentile and 5 percentile, so it's definitely in the lower echelons and something that he would certainly need to work on. But other things here that I really do like the look of is his progressive carries and his just general progression of the ball in the 40 and 50 percentile. As a fullback, it's not necessarily his job to do that. It's to win the ball, maybe provide some support down that left-hand side before releasing the ball. So some very, very good numbers there. But dribbled past 93 percentile. So he doesn't often get dribbled past. An absolute solid defender, which coincides quite nicely with his pressures and his tackles in the 44 and 34 percentile. So some absolutely fantastic numbers for a kid who is just 19 years old. I think he could be a fantastic talent who is only available for around about, let's say, £20 million. Now, Arsenal rumoured to be looking to make 2 big signings in the summer. And then alongside those 2 big signings, some smaller signings at maybe sort of 20, 30 million pounds to provide quality and depth throughout the squad. And I certainly think that Aaron Hickey ticks all of those boxes. And with it being a project of young players, it's another box ticked as well. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Is Aaron Hickey a player that you like the look of? Should we be going after him in the summer? Let me know down below. But if you have enjoyed today's video, a like would be super appreciated. And I'm less than 35 away from 1,300. So your support and subscription would be absolutely fantastic. Do hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. But for now, I'm JC, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe and take care.